Today, I want to give some of my first impressions of Stalker 2. I am 6 or 7 hours into it. This is obviously not a full review. I'm nowhere near, I think, being able to do that. But I do want to talk about some of the good, the bad, the ugly. It is an interesting game, and I'm excited to chat about it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so Stalker 2, a game that has like everything working against it, right? We have a wartime developer. This GSC Games is a Ukrainian developer based in Kiev. Much of their operation moved, I believe, to Poland after the beginning of the invasion by Russia, which was unjustified and unjust entirely. Um, they still have some developers who I believe are still in Ukraine, either in some of the western cities, or I think still Kiev from their documentary they did. They dealt with a big hack where their entire game got leaked, and everything got leaked, which was suspected to be Russian provocateurs. Um, I know that they've had multiple developers serve in their military during this invasion. I thought I saw at one point that one of them had been killed in combat, but I can't verify that now. Um, and then lots of other stuff. The game is a bit of a mess. It's a bit buggy. It's a bit unbalanced. On Series X, at least, it doesn't look great. In general, I think some of the stuff definitely looks outdated. Many of the character models and stuff, and some of the animations, not completely up to spec to what you would think you would get in a modern game today. Um, you remember this isn't some gigantic 1,000-person development studio. They are a bit smaller than that. Again, there's a lot working against this game, yet I cannot stop playing it. I'm really, really, really enjoying it. One of the things I want to point out that is very interesting about this is it's one of the few times I've ever seen a community's reaction for a game be so different than the normies or the tourists like myself, right? Who don't have experience with the previous games. Just recently, in the last month, Dragon Age the Veilguard came out, which has drawn pretty much critical praise and much fan praise from especially people not already invested in the franchise, people like myself, where the actual community, the fans of the game, have not been as hot on it for the most part. Obviously, you can't represent everyone in one statement, but it does seem like, in general, the people who aren't as invested in the Dragon Age series are liking Veilguard more so than the people who have a deep history with it. With Stalker 2, complete opposite. It's so interesting. I think people like myself are enjoying it, but definitely recognizing how rough of an experience it is, and not having the knowledge of how things were before. If you go to the Stalker subreddit, or you go to many of the forums and stuff like that I've stumbled on, you see a fan base for this franchise and for this studio who isn't happy that things are kind of messy, but are totally fine with it. And there's very much there's so many of the memes going around in this community of someone standing off to the side yelling at people for having fun, and those people just kind of giving them the thumbs up, like, yeah, we know it's awful, but we love it. And that's definitely how I felt. I think the best way for me to describe how I feel about Stalker 2 when I'm playing it is it's very much embodies what I think Fallout 3 was like to play. Wandering the wasteland, getting into these crazy situations, stumbling upon these tough situations, meeting people and talking to them, and having very interesting interactions with them that can go one way or the other depending on what I do. Um, it's all the things I remember about Fallout 3. Now, I know if I fire up Fallout 3 today and go play it, that game has not aged well. It is a mechanical mess. It's still janky, I'm sure, to this day. The graphics are terrible. The gunplay is terrible. It's not great, right? Like, I have no doubt in my mind that that's still, that's true. And that's why playing Stalker 2 has been so fun to me, because even with all of those issues, it's still scratching that itch. The, oh man, what's that over there? I hear gunshots over there. What's going on? What's that creature? How do I defeat that? Oh my God, why is this invisible thing attacking me? Why is it taking every bullet I have on my character? Oh, that's a new gun. I haven't seen that before. Ooh, a new attachment. There's just, it's doing the thing really well, where you hear, talk of game design sometimes, and how you need to reinvest the player every 30 seconds. Um, it's impressive that a game that has so many technical issues, that technologically looking kind of behind, even though I think it's Unreal Engine 5, it's still, some of the things don't look great. Some of them do. Some of the environments are beautiful, very dense, very lush. I believe ray tracing is baked into everything, probably to its detriment. If you played, especially like a Jedi Survivor, a game that used ray tracing baked in, it was one of those things where, like, I get why you do that. It probably makes lighting easier. It probably makes the development easier. It struggles a bit on the Series X and stuff like that. We'll get to that. But there's just something about this game that it hits that every 30 seconds, something happens where it reinvests you. Whether you run upon something new, find a new area, discover a new mission, progress the main storyline, which so far has been pretty interesting to me. It's really, really cool. And if you have Game Pass, I definitely recommend it. I would go into it with an open mind and understanding that it's in kind of a rough spot, but that there's a fun game in there. And I don't think it's one of those situations where it's a fun game in there, but it's not fun today. It is fun today. You just need to go in and acknowledge that it's going to be a bit messy, right? And if you don't want to acknowledge that, I do suggest waiting 6 months or a year and then coming back and playing this later on. When it comes to performance and all of that, I have a 5700X 4D70 Ti 64 gig system for my PC. It's running okay on there. I still wouldn't say it's perfect. There's some weird stuff with, like, I don't know if it's the motion blur or something, like, even when it's running really, really smooth and I can tell all the animations are happening really well on my PC, when you turn, everything just turns into a blurry mess. I've messed with the settings. I've tried, DLSS and not DLSS, and I've messed with it. It seems like it's something baked into the game. And so hopefully that gets fixed or adjusted, because it's pretty bad. It doesn't look great. On Series X, it has a performance and quality mode. The quality mode is definitely running at maybe 30 FPS, and it still doesn't look that great. The performance mode looks a little worse. Is definitely running at a higher frame per second. I doubt it's 60. It doesn't feel like 60. It feels like it bounces between like 30 and 50. If you want real numbers, go to Digital Foundry. But it feels okay. It's very floaty. On the Series X, you have the same issue with movement. It just turns into a blurry mess while you're moving. Just in general gameplay on Series X, it's pretty fuzzy. There's no DLSS obviously on the Series X or PlayStation when this game eventually comes to that system. So instead, I assume they're using FSR really heavily, and it doesn't look great. It's pretty rough. But again, saying all of that, I still think it's really, really fun. I'm really excited to keep playing it. I hope I finish it. It seems like there's no other games really coming out anytime soon I think are going to take my attention away. I'm still playing a Mass Effect playthrough, and I want to do another Veilguard playthrough, and I'm always playing a few other games at any given time. But yeah, I fully intend on continuing to play Stalker, especially as they get some hot fixes out and try to kind of, patch up some of the big issues. And then in the long run, kind of work on the smaller stuff. The previous game came out a long time ago and still has a incredibly active mod scene, to the point where people have made their own like campaigns and everything, essentially transform the game into the old game it is, into a modern game, that in probably some ways maybe is even more modern than Stalker 2, I imagine. So I suspect Stalker 2 is going to have similar support. It's got some good bones. It's worth playing right now if you're willing to put up with some crap. If not, wait a little bit, but definitely do check it out. And when I do, hopefully, eventually finish it, I will do a full review and score it and all of that stuff. So let me know what you think about Stalker 2, if you're playing it, if you're considering it, if you have any questions, leave all of that in the comments. If you like this video, please hit the like button so more people see it. If you like this video and you want to check out my other videos on Mass Effect and The Division and just gaming news in general, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you really, really want to support and you like what I'm doing, please consider becoming a YouTube member. You get videos early and a few other perks. If you want to check out my other content or other ways to support, hit the links down in the description of the video. That is all I have for this one. So until next time.